Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. I am excited for today's episode. I have a fellow podcaster with me, actually. So this is really cool. We've got the founder and owner of Success at Last LLC. And what he does is he helps his clients with email campaigns and other things. He's also got three podcasts. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm super excited to be rocking out today with Tracy Brinkmann. Hey, Tracy, you ready to rock?
Yes, I am totally ready to rock. It's funny you use the terminology rock because I'm sitting here looking off to my right where I have pictures of myself with Kiss and Motley Crue, and behind me is my signed Gene Simmons axe bass guitar. So
Yeah.
and I'm a drummer at heart, so we are going to vibe 100% here.
Awesome. All right. Yes, we're going to keep the rhythm.
There you go.
Awesome. So we always start off here in a good note. Tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
Oh, you know what? I'm lucky enough to be married to an amazing woman. And I know this is business, but in the big scheme of things, your life reflects your business and your business can easily reflect your life because the two are very intertwined. And I found I was lucky enough to gain the winning side on both by sitting down and journaling, writing out what it is I really wanted. And I'm talking more than just oh, I want to be a millionaire. Oh, I want to be, I want the sexy woman with the long hair and the curvy body and all that stuff. I was actually sat down and said, here's what I want her to, what kind of personality I want her to have. And the same thing in the business. What kind of people do I want to serve? So for me, the big win would be having a business I'm very happy about and being able to work with people that are just completely amazing and having a woman by my side that loves me dearly and every once in a while, will give me the kick in the pants that I need.
Yeah. Hey, I resonate with that 100%. I've definitely done exactly what you're talking about as well in journaling, exactly what I wanted in a partner. And then I had to write also the list of what I think that person would want in a partner so that I could become that.
Ooh,
Right?
yes,
Right.
100%. That's how you get in rhythm, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So now tell me, I mean, along with the good notes, there are things that don't go as planned. I've been doing this for a long time. So tell me,
Sure.
can you share one? We can.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and it's kind of a bad note as well as a learning lesson at the same time, which most stumbles and bumbles and fumbles, and some people will call them failures.
Mhm.
They really are if you let them be. So my first podcast, Your Success DNA, was all about personal development. I gotten into the coaching field, had been coaching people, and it was my way to reach out to even more people, which really brought some people in the door. And I had monetized the podcast through a pay gate, and it was doing great. And then one point in my life, I was getting on the microphone and with my best amazing personal development voice, telling people how to win at life. Meanwhile, I was going through a wicked divorce. I
Mm.
had just hit bankruptcy. I mean, and everything was just kind of falling apart. And that imposter syndrome that so many of us feel at some point in our life took over, and I hung up my microphone and I hung up my headphones while I got my caca together, we might say, right? So the failure in that to me is if I would feel that now, I would lean into it and talk about it on the mic,
Mm.
but I didn't have the confidence in myself or my abilities to do that at the time. So, learning 20, hindsight's always 2020. Again, if I would experience that today, I would just kind of lean into it and share with the audience, dude, I'm feeling what you feel. Trust me, I'm not following my own advice, ladies and gentlemen. So here's what we're going to be doing, and kind of sharing that with them.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And I have had some guests on the podcast as well that have really capitalized on those really negative notes because
Hmm.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, when we are looking for somebody to help us, we want to see somebody that actually understands what we're going through as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I
Who's
mean,
been through
it's
it?
one thing to be like, oh, well, this person, everything they touch turns to gold and they've never had a thing bad happen to them. How are they going to help me? Because
Yeah.
it's almost like you think they don't get it. right? I mean, maybe they have a rich
Exactly.
father or something like that, but I mean, this is not, this is not what my story is. So, hearing somebody with that story can really help you get there, right?
hmm I actually did an episode on that very topic. Like the last episode I did on that same podcast just this weekend
Hmm.
was 5 reasons why you should not listen to me. And it was some of the things you just said. I wasn't born rich, and I wasn't born super poor. So I didn't, I don't have this amazing rags to riches story. I was a middle class kind of guy in a military family and just found something that resonated with me and resonated with other folks and leveraged that into more opportunities. Not exactly a rags to riches story, but
Hmm.
certainly a success story. So it's like I gave them those 5 reasons, but at the same time, each one of those reasons would also be the same reason why someone might want to listen to me because while I don't have the rags to riches story, I'm also not, a Tony Robbins preaching down from on high because, I coach all these amazing people, these, senators and presidents and everybody. I reach out to Joe Schmo.
Yeah, yeah. And isn't it funny how the wording on there, reasons why you shouldn't listen to me is probably the reason why they click on it.
Exactly. Little clickbait, right?
Yeah.
But I delivered the clickbait.
No, I hear you like that mediocre kind of thing. And we have a lot of similarities because I've, haven't really had anything really that terrible happen and also really that amazing. Like, so it's been kind of like this comfortable level.
hmm
And oftentimes that's really something that holds you back from really getting that success because you hear people on lots of podcasts or success stories. And the people that have these really, really big success stories, they talk about this really rock bottom that they had
Yeah.
hit and then they bounce
hmm
back from. So it's almost like there's this pendulum, right? Where if you don't never really had anything really, really bad happen to you, then you maybe have never really gotten that kick in the pants to go make something really, really good happen to you too.
Sure. Yeah. I have had, rock bottom moments. I'll call them 3 of them across the course of my life and my business career. But I think everyone goes through them at some point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my perspective of a rock bottom moment might be different than
Yeah.
yours or than, the other person who's listening to the two of us discuss right now. I mean, my 3 were overcoming an addiction to methamphetamines, the loss of an 18-month-old daughter, and then that moment, where I was like going through the divorce and the bankruptcy and everything and hung up my microphone. That was kind of all right, well, obviously the physical, we got to overcome that addiction, the relationship, the loss of the daughter, and then more of a spiritual moment, as I was like coming to grips with, all right, this is a big change in my life. And who do I want to be and what direction do I want to go? And all of those could be the make or break moment that some people have gone through recently, or maybe they're going through right now. And hopefully knowing that folks like you and I, who aren't, an Anthony Robbins and aren't, a president, whoever, still survived and
Mhm.
continued on forward and inked out a nice life for ourselves at the same time.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. And there you go. I think that that's the thing is that you did have a few of those rock bottom moments, which did catapult you into some better success. And
hmm
and so did I. My rock bottom moments might not be as severe as some other people's rock bottom moments as well.
Sure.
However, I mean, everything is relative, right? I mean,
Exactly.
if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. Is it as bad as that guy's day over there? Maybe not, but it's still my bad day,
It's
right?
my bad day, damn it.
Yeah. And I mean it's same thing with a good day too. But I mean oftentimes really it's a matter of trying to find that middle ground and not getting too upset and not getting too excited. Trying to
hmm
kind of keep that
Yeah.
even mindset, right?
100%, 100%. And there's a tough one. I mean, you said that little word real fast, mindset. And
Hmm.
I think in the world that we live in the entrepreneurial space, especially for folks that are trying to break out of one type of space into another, there's a mindset shift that comes with that, right? And I know you service the folks that are trying to do the
Yeah.
cubicle escape. I service the same folks. And one of the biggest things I think most of them struggle with is, well, what would I do? Why
Hmm.
would people pay me for X or Y or Z when there's Tim out there, and then there's Tracy, and then there's, Tony Robbins, and whatever, just name all the names to talk themselves out of it. And it's
Yeah.
that mindset shift that folks have to go through. And usually they go through it while they're living the experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think to answer that question, the way that I see the world is that there's two things. Number one is that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is very possible that everybody on listening to this has some people in their circle that they know, like, and trust, or that know, like, and trust them, that
Mm-hmm.
might actually pay for their services. But the second thing is, I think we're seeing a bit of a revolution in terms of, like, I don't know, I don't even know what to call it, like a buy local type thing. Like, people wanting to support the smaller businesses or support the people in their communities rather than the big, big, big companies, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know that there's a bit of a gap in terms of what the big companies can provide in terms of pricing versus the little companies. I mean, are
Mm-hmm.
you going to go to the store and buy something local, or are you going to order it from Amazon? The price is way different, right?
Sometimes
But
you're absolutely right. Yeah. And there are times when, I'll use the example here. We live out in the middle of nowhere, not in the middle of nowhere, but I think I can see it from my front porch. Um, and there is an amazing Amish community around us. And this is one gentleman, Hank, noticed a need and started a little shop. And it has miscellaneous farm goods and foodstuffs and repair items and whatever seasonal items are relevant. His prices are pretty comparable. They're, to your point, they're a little higher. But the point is, I can drive 7 minutes, have a chat with Hank, pick up the things I need the same day, right away,
yeah,
right? And support my local community at the same time. And I think one of the reasons, and this is my humble opinion, that so many of us have started to lean into the, buy local opportunities is an erosion of trust in some of those bigger corporations that are out there
agreed.
for a whole number of reasons. And that could be a conspiracy episode of a podcast
Yeah.
all by itself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with you. I think that there is an erosion of trust, and I mean, I think it's just going to work out in our favor, right? Because
In the
it
long
is,
run, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
it is opening up the possibility for more of these small businesses to open up. And I mean, we in the pre-chat we talked a little bit about the technology changes that have happened that is
Hmm.
allowing more people to now access, these small business opportunities. I
Hmm.
mean, you can set up a pretty comparable business nowadays from your home versus you like 50 years ago or 100 years ago. Maybe 100 years ago, actually, everybody, is that timing right? Maybe not 100 years, but at one point, there was a lot of self-employment going on, and
Yeah.
it sort of went away a little bit, and now I think it's probably going to come back.
Yeah, the pendulum seems to be swinging back and forth, and it's a pattern across time.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go all the way back to the feudalism days where the lord of the lands rented out parcels of land and homes and equipment to the folks on his land to farm it, and he would get the crops and then sell it. It was kind of a trade labor. Okay, well, that started switched to everyone started buying their own land, and then over time it just keeps swinging back and forth. And
Mm,
like we mentioned, like you said pre-interview, back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, a lot of small businesses were everywhere, and there,
mm,
there were a few big companies too. And now we're starting to swing, I think, back the other way once more. Hopefully, we'll stay the buy local opportunities there.
yeah. Well, one of the things that I wish we learned in school is things like sales, marketing. So some of those,
Hmm.
because really, I think that when someone thinks about starting I know when I started my business in the first place, luckily I did have a bit of sales training prior to that. But a lot of people think, okay, well, I do this thing. This thing is, I'm really good at this thing. I really like doing this thing. So I want to
Hmm.
do that as a business. And then you learn real quick that you're going to be spending a lot less time doing that thing than you are going to be doing the other things that are involved
Yeah.
in creating a business. And one of
Hmm.
those things that's most important, if you don't have anybody in your business, then you don't have a business. So how do you approach getting a fan?
I think it depends on what the business is, obviously.
Hmm.
But one of the ways I love to do it is to approach said business, said fan, said opportunity with my best music.
Hmm.
I'm gonna roll with this music
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
as much as I
yeah.
can. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say I do email marketing campaigns as an example, like you mentioned, and I prefer to work with the local business folks. So I'll see a business opportunity. Let's talk about Hank. Hank, because of his lifestyle choice, doesn't have access to any technology. So I could be that intermediary for him.
Hmm.
So what I might do is I might walk into Hank's shop and say, "Hey, here, I have a great idea, Hank. You have all this great Milwaukee product sitting right here, and I've noticed it's been sitting there pretty quiet for the past couple of months. Let me do this quick little email campaign to all the folks in the community that are around here, and see if we can move some of this stuff for you." And obviously, the question is going to be, well, what's that going to cost? I tell you what, the difference between what you're selling right now and how much we sell because I send out the emails, let's split that 50-50. Does that sound fair? And I haven't met a person in their right mind yet that would say, no, that doesn't sound fair at all.
Hmm.
Because if all I'm asking is for 50% of the revenue I generate through my efforts through your business, well, then maybe you shouldn't be in business. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So usually for me,
Yeah.
it's taking a good piece of music and walking into the person that needs that piece of music and saying, here, use this to play in your business and just pay me 50% royalties. There it is.
Wow. Hey, that's a really good offer. I would probably say yes too. Right?
And I know you do businesses, right?
Yeah.
And I've played with websites not because I'm a web designer, because I'm not, but with some of the tools that have been developed since AI has hit the scene, I can go to a small business and, who has especially around here, a website that looks like it's from the 90s or
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
MySpace looking, and copy the code, drop it into this AI, and it gives it this nice sleek modern look, and you can even focus it down to their niche so it focuses on what they need to focus on, because plumbers focus on different things than restaurants do.
Hmm.
And then you print off a couple of sheets of that, or walk in with your phone and, Mr. Business Owner, look at this website I did for you. Do you think this would bring more customers in? Well, duh. And you can almost guarantee that that business owner has called somebody or emailed exchange with somebody, or at least done some online research about, wow, that's going to cost me, I don't know, it used to be thousands of dollars, and I'd have to wait days or weeks or sometimes even months to have some big agency do it.
Hmm.
And how much are you going to charge me? And then you give them a number that makes sense for the time you spent, and they're going to go, yes, please.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I did actually just that last month.
There it
It
is.
is funny. But I mean, because there are a lot of businesses that like you say, I mean, they're a small business. They've had a website forever. It's not really doing a whole lot for them. So they don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it. They don't
Yeah.
necessarily know what it could do for them. So there's that. But
Yes.
even if the business is just using their website as a business card, I
Hmm.
mean, the great news about nowadays is that, if you have, a little bit of background skills, then you can actually generate something pretty passable pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So really, what's the loss that you get? Like, I mean, I know when we thought about doing it, it was like, okay, well, what am I going to lose? I'm going to lose time. Okay, well, how many of these do you think I'm going to need to do in order to get one sale? And it turned out it was one. But I mean, I didn't think that that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
I thought it would
Right.
be a few, and I figured, okay, well, let's just average out the time. So I mean, yeah, I think that if you are only if all you can lose is time, well then, that's I think something that we all have that we can run a business. And way back when, marketing you used to have to spend a lot more money to
Sure.
compete with the big guys. But now it does seem like things are moving towards time instead of money, which
Yeah.
levels things out a lot.
Oh, 100%. The tools that have hit the landscape, let's just say in the past 24 months, let alone the last six,
Hmm.
have really made it really easy. And he says easy with quotes, with air quotes, for the average mom, pa, Tracy and Tim
Yeah.
to compete against some of those bigger agencies that are out there,
Yeah.
whether they're, big AI agencies or marketing agencies or website agencies.
Yeah. Now, okay, so let's just take that back a step because I mean it's not easy, right? It
Right?
might be
Yeah.
simple.
Easy is a four-letter word, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Because there is a fair bit to it, and there are a lot of, I mean, let's even just talk about the practices that you need to have in place. Let me ask you this question. So
Sure.
one thing that I've noticed a lot, uh, I mean, is that it seems as though a lot of these self-employed entrepreneurs have some sort of like personal care, some self-care, or some sort of routines to keep, I don't know, their mindset clear.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have any of those?
I do actually. I usually spend the first part of my morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is all about the physical body, right? So I'm lucky enough, like I said, we live in the middle of nowhere, little farm, 40 acres. We have an on-site gym, and I said gym with air quotes, but it's got some pretty decent equipment in it. A
Mhm.
lot of folks are going to go, "Wow, I would pay to come to your house monthly to use that gym." And me and my wife will work out together in the mornings, and then I spend a little time, writing in the journal, getting my head right, and then kind of organizing the one, two, or three things that if I got these done, I feel productive. And that's one of the key things about any endeavor that you're taking on. You want to feel like you got something done today. And
Yeah.
even if that something is something really, really small, you could say, I got that done. And that gives you that little hit of dopamine and gets you jacked up and ready to go for the next day. So I do that. And then the end of the day, and I actually have a little ticker that comes up on my phone to remind myself to kind of review the goods and the bads of the day.
Hmm.
Right. So before I start winding down for the evening, it's like, "Oh, I got that done. I got that done. Oh, crap. I didn't get this done." And just kind of, and it's not a critique, it's not a slap upside the head kind of moment. It's like, wow, did I over, did I under budget the amount of time with the other two things were going to take, and that third one was never going to get done no matter what? Or did I F off some time that I could have put
Hmm.
to that?
Hmm.
And it's kind of a self-regulator. You start to learn what you can get done in the amount of time you've allotted or not. So then it also gives you the opportunity to take that item and move it to the next day or move it where it belongs. Because sometimes it doesn't belong in the next day. Sometimes it belongs in the trash can, and
Hmm.
other times it belongs on someone else's desk. Oh, I shouldn't have been doing this in the first place. I should hand this off to my AI assistant or my VA or my wife or my daughter or whoever should be doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really good. And having those things to check off too, and the things that don't get done, I think a lot of it has to do like why don't people do that in the first place? And I think that maybe the other part of it is that you have to forgive yourself when you do not get those things
Yes.
done, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, because I mean, why else
100%.
wouldn't you write your goals down? Right? I think I've heard many times, well, I don't want to get my hopes up. I've heard that so much. I
Well,
don't
you
know what
should
that
get your hopes
programming
up.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible programming, really.
Yeah, it really is. And there's so many things you hear out there that are, I'll call it anti-programming. What I mean
Mm,
by that is it's anti-positive programming. Okay, well, don't get your hopes up too high because, the economy is getting ready to take a dip,
yeah.
or because AI is taking all the jobs, or because, blah, blah, blah. Look, my hopes are already up. You're in, and you're not pulling them down, right?
Mm,
That's the mentality I think we should have. It's the hard charger. I'm going to find a way. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to walk through some barbed wire and some mud and some poop or whatever to find that way. But damn it, I'll find a way.
hmm. Yeah, and that's the journey. That's what fun is, right? I mean, if
Yes.
You just look at sports. I mean, we play sports for fun. Well, someone's going to lose. So why
Hmm.
even bother playing?
Yeah.
If your attitude is I don't want to get my hopes up, right?
It's funny you say that. I'm a father of four amazing women, and one of them got into cheer at like age 12
Mhm.
and stayed in. And I'm not talking about the standard high school collegiate rah 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 kind of thing, sideline cheer. I'm talking about competitive cheer
Mhm.
where they're throwing themselves around a mat 7 days a week to go compete for 3 days and come back and do it all over again. And she did that from 12 to 18.
Wow.
And they were going to lose, and they knew that, but they always went in. We're gonna kick butt. We're gonna do our best, and the mentality of these ladies and the guys that were there, of course, were if you left it all on the mat, blood, sweat, and tears, then it doesn't matter what the score was at the end of the day. You did your damnedest. You did your best, and all you could do is improve and come back the next weekend and try it all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think sports are so important when you're raising kids because that lesson there is huge. I mean, that'll stick with her for sure.
So, sports can teach you a lot of amazing things. I think one of the caveats I would toss in there is make sure you have a good coach.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Because unfortunately, like anything else around nowadays, the wrong people get in the wrong environments and start teaching the wrong angles. And yeah, no, no thanks.
Well, I mean, sports, that's one thing in sports. Also, it works at school too with teachers. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know how many times you hear people say, I don't like this subject. And if you dig in far enough, you'll find out it's because of a teacher.
Yes, it's
It's
usually and it may not be their personality, it may just be their teaching style
Mhm.
versus the student style, because we're all like some of us are visual and some of us are kinetic and some of us are auditory. And if that teacher, beyond just being boring,
Mm,
just teaches this one way, then guess what? About 30% of the class is going, you
yeah.
know, it's like anything else. It's like being a good entrepreneur. You want to engage your clients because that's how you're going to find those little nuances about their business that you can use to make their business better through whatever skill set you have that you're helping them with.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm thinking is, I mean, maybe well, this probably is a huge rabbit hole, but I know
Yeah,
that for
let's go.
me, for me, I've been using AI a lot for even just
Hmm.
training me and just like it is my accountability partner in a lot of ways. And
Hmm.
it's different than a piece of paper because I mean, I've been doing goal setting and journaling for a long time and that's one thing, but putting it onto the AI thing and having it talk back to you is really cool.
It
Um,
is.
Now, I'm wondering if this is going to start to translate into teaching styles for even children, because now with these tools, a teacher could theoretically set up multiple meal plans, learning plans,
Hmm.
lesson plans for all these different children with the specific learning style of each child in mind.
Yeah, it's
And they could do that
happening.
pretty quickly,
Yeah,
right?
oh gosh, it was like 2 or 3 months ago. I heard about a school system. It was out west somewhere. I don't think it was California, but I know it was out west, who was testing AI with human teacher intervention, that the AI would lean into a student's preferences and
Right.
in stylistic mannerisms to get them to learn, which also allowed them to learn at different times. So the same teacher that would normally teach this class from 8 a.m. to 9:30 could give that same lesson, but then that student, maybe their best learning time is after lunch.
Wow.
Well, then they can take that same lesson and learn it when they're at their peak. So there's a whole realm of win-wins in that opportunity. It's another one of those cautionary tales. I think it's an amazing opportunity. It's just let's make sure we have someone in there making sure that our kids are being taken care of the way we want them to.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I guess maybe just my thought is that I think parents would probably be best served to have a lot more of that input on that as
Yeah.
well. You
Yeah.
know,
I'm a big proponent of like homeschooling. So for
yeah,
me, taking an AI opportunity or an idea like that and applying it in a homeschooling environment,
yeah,
ooh, now you're really just you've pulled down all the guardrails because in a homeschooling world, the the biggest struggle, the biggest barrier is the parents' knowledge, not the student's knowledge.
correct.
Because here I am, I got to teach you something that I've totally forgotten 12 years ago
Yeah,
because I don't use it on a daily basis, but I have to make sure you know it so that you can pass some, standardized test. It's a cool opportunity because AI could take it over and it also pulls everything back into the home like we were talking about earlier. I think there's a win-win inside of that.
yeah, I agree. And I mean, also you can even just at the very minimum allow AI to kind of sit in on your child's, like even if the schools still are playing a part of it, yeah, you could have note takers sitting in on your child's,
Hmm.
lessons and actually reporting back to you on what they learned. Like there's a
Yeah,
lot of things we
another
can
great
do,
idea.
big brothery, you know.
Yeah.
Why don't we use those things to our own advantage rather than letting someone else, do it,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like I say, I'm an optimist. So I think the future is bright with all these tools. I do agree with you that we need to keep an eye on it. I don't think we just
Sure.
let them do whatever they want and do whatever experiment that they want to do, which is what kind of happens, right? We
Hmm.
we want to have a little bit more of an active role in this. And the good news though is that we have all these great tools that can help us to do that, right? We
Hmm.
can actually, I mean, technically, we could send AIs into even school board meetings and even city council meetings, and we could all be updated on all this stuff. Man, these are all great ideas. I'm just coming up with right now. But, but, but I mean, imagine that. I mean, because I do know that that's why we have these boards, is they're supposed to be making decisions for us because we're too busy to make them ourselves. And now we might have a way to actually have a lot more input into our local communities.
100%, 100%. And I think that's one of the big things about being involved is you can't be everywhere at once.
No.
And when you just start getting involved, you don't know what you don't know. So you have to go through that learning curve. And you could even use AI to help you. What is he talking about here? While you're
Yeah.
sitting in a board meeting or reviewing the minutes, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Without having to ask anybody in case you're embarrassed about that. Anyway,
Yeah, that's true. So let's get into your solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
you know what? I think one of the things I'm really enjoying is the email marketing thing that you mentioned earlier. Is because I think there's a lot of folks that will say email marketing is dead. I
Mm.
think we're a long way away from email marketing being dead.
Hmm.
I think it went through a peak period and then kind of dropped off as other things entered in, but it's still this amazing tool in the background of things. And for me, what I really enjoy about it is so many local businesses, they might be smart enough to be collecting emails, but most of them are either are just too busy or just not in-depthly knowledgeable enough to leverage that pot of gold of email lists effectively, let alone at all. Some of them might occasionally send something out, and uh, which is good. It's better than not doing anything with it. But the effective marketing tool that an email list is we as standard entrepreneurs are like, well, duh. But imagine the pizzeria down the road down there, and they're collecting emails, but they're still doing good business. You should walk into their store and tell them, look, let's go ahead and tap into that list. And I bet you we could probably get you a month's worth of revenue in a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
Well, first off, they're gonna scoff at you potentially, which is fine. Go ahead and let them say, "Hey, let's just give it a shot." I'll even do it for free. Again, the opportunity becomes, however, whatever I generate, you just share 50% of that with me. If I don't generate anything, well, then guess what? You don't give me anything, and we can go our separate ways, and no harm, no foul.
I love that. That's an Such a great idea. So how, imagine someone's listening to this and they actually do have that pizzeria. How do they get in touch with you to take advantage of this offer?
Well, they can obviously they can just stop off at darkhorse.entrepreneur.com and just, there's a contact form up there. Go ahead and reach out for me directly with that. I don't put this one out publicly because of the fact that there are a number of local businesses that will just let me find out. And then as they don't really have the interest in it. So I
Right.
find that if they're willing to take a minute to fill out a contact form and have me reach out to them, then everything works out a whole lot better. So yeah, darkhorse.entrepreneur.com, fill out that contact form and I'll reach back out to you and we can discuss things.
Yeah, I love that. Small price to pay, right?
Exactly. It's like anything else. It's like some folks are saying, "Hey, I want to see the band." Well, pay the ticket price. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't want to pay the
Yeah.
ticket price.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So, that's awesome. I got one more question for you. So we talked
Sure.
about a little bit about music earlier. This might be the hardest one though. Who's
Mhm.
your favorite rock star?
Oh my God, that is a hard one
Yeah.
because my music likings are very eclectic, right? Obviously, I mentioned a couple of the rock bands here, Kiss and Motley Crue, but I'm also a big Michael Jackson and Prince fan.
Mm.
So wherever my mood sways, my music goes with, I will have to say probably one of the most instrumental bands has been Kiss in my life as a
Mm.
whole, which, and inside of that, um, Gene Simmons, but more because of his entrepreneurial side of things than his, demon tongue, blood spitting fire guy. Because I've been lucky enough to meet him on a couple of occasions and chat with him briefly. We actually, my wife and I, that I was bragging about, got married at the Kiss Chapel in Vegas, and Eric Singer, the drummer, was our ring bearer there. But
Wow.
anyway, sidebar. He just has this mind for business that just, I think, operates at a different level. Not because he's this rock star, but because he built himself up through an entrepreneurial mindset. How do I leverage this as a revenue generating opportunity? Which in the early days of the band, was about makeup and theatrics to get people to come in and, doing some shenanigans to offset the fact that they were the opening band and the main band would come on. Like, how do we play after that?
Yeah.
And then, you toss in the merchandising that no one was doing back then. Right now merchandising is everywhere, and then you go back behind the scenes and all the different things he has stepped out into, from football to indie race car to you know uh, chateaus in Aspen and the whole nine yards. He's got this mind that if I ever had a star on my podcast, that's the guy I would want.
Yeah.
And not because, again, because he's this amazing rock star. I thought he was an amazing rock star, but because of that entrepreneurial spirit. I think that is what fueled the band more than anything else. Because let's be honest, musically, they weren't breaking any records
Hmm.
musically.
Hmm.
They did some amazing things, had some really cool songs, but they didn't have a lot of intricacies, Pink Floyd or a Led Zeppelin or any of those old bands from the same time frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, I mean, really, he's a masterclass in learning how to make your passion into something that
Yeah,
generates income, right?
yeah. You
Which, I
know,
mean, that's the thing. I mean, it turns the whole starving musician thing upside down. I mean, he's definitely figured out ways to make that happen, right?
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
totally did. And I mean, I think he was one point early in there when they were first starting the band. He was teaching English to
Hmm.
non-English speaking folks in the New York, Brooklyn kind of area. So he was working, trying to start the band, and then also doing other side hustles. And my mind is skipping on what they were,
Yeah.
like, getting comic books and then reselling them kind of thing. So he had his fingers in all these pies. And I think he just kept up that pace his entire life. It's just that the bank accounts got bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Well, thank you so much for rocking out with me today, Tracy. This has been a lot of fun.
It's my pleasure to have been here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you go to workathomerockstar.com for more information. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.